I mean, those might help you if you're trying to get laid tonight. God knows you need it.
Ha!
What spurred the idea for that night? Was it a specific incident on those many nights, or just your observation about those nights and then formulating a story?
It was definitely one night, you know. Obviously, I made a few things up, right? But for the most part, I just remember it was, we went out for my best friend's girlfriend's birthday, and a bunch of people that we grew up with are there. We go out to a few bars, crazy stuff happens, and then I just remember at the end of the night, I'm sitting with one of my ex girlfriends, right, and I'm sitting there going through this dramatic conversation and whatnot, and like we're obviously all been drinking, and I just remember sitting there. I zoned her out for a second, right? I remember sitting there while she's like kind of like saying all this stuff to me. I'm just sitting there like, this night could be a movie. I knew like, hey, I'm gonna make a feature length film, right? Like I was done making shorts, and I was like, I'm making a feature length film, and I was literally about to go into pre-production for this other script I wrote. I was seriously like that close to just starting the pre-production on and everything, just going full steam ahead, and then that night happened, and I was sitting there, I'm like, this is the movie because I've always wanted my first feature to really depict like me and my friend group and how it is being our age in this time, right? And I get home at like 6 in the morning, and I right then and there I write like 30 pages, and like as I'm writing, I'm like, all right, I'm scrapping that other one. This is the one that we're doing.
So, what themes or motivations did you want to emphasize in that night that you think represents, as you said, the most intimate aspects of being in your early 20s during this time in history?
First and foremost, as a filmmaker, I think it's most important thing you can do is entertain people, right? Like, I don't care, it just cannot be boring no matter what you do. So that's, step number one. Then after that, you know, I really went on the mission of, making this movie because yeah, it's a romantic comedy about relationships, but I really wanted to show like as an artist or no matter who you are, there really should never be any roadblocks that you create for yourself, right? Like I feel like all the time, artists, especially young filmmakers, they're always looking for like a bigger institution or someone else to help them out. But I just feel like you don't need to do that all the time. Like if you have an idea, you trust it, right? Even if someone thinks it's pretentious or you think it's pretentious, like you just trust that idea, right? But then after that, like that's kind of the main message. But when it comes to like the relationships, like every character in this movie has a relationship with someone, if it's romantic, not romantic, right?
Right.
And for me, just like dating in this day and time, and then just having to deal with the pressures of your friends, right? And the pressures of like what society thinks that you should do, because that's the main character, Stacy. Basically the entire time he's dealing with pressures from his friend, society, himself, when it comes to his career, or when it comes to confessing his love for a certain person, even if it makes him look like a lame to his friends or anything like that. So it's just like, yeah, just dealing with those pressures that your friends, society, and yourself put on you. But at the end of the day, I think you should just always just trust that gut feeling, if it's in your career or in your love life.
The cast had an easy and casual chemistry with each other. How did you get all those far flung actors to create this chemistry in the period you shot the film?
First, I would say our casting directors did a great job of, finding all these people and setting up the audition, setting up an audition with this person, that person to see how they worked. But honestly, I just think allowing the cast to hang out around each other, you know, just I got lucky in a way because they really became friends. Like that's probably the biggest compliment when it comes to like the acting is it seems like they all grew up together and they all knew each other. So just allowing them to have that where change, I got to change the script because the way it was written wouldn't fit with how they've been actually portraying it on screen so far. So, another thing is I was just really taking from what me and my friend groups have, because I mean, my best friends I've known since I was 5 years old, and we've never like. So I'm 26, so we've been friends for like our whole lives. So I just really use like our conversations and everything and how we act towards each other, and I put it into the script.
What are the origins of Broken Bulb Productions, and how do you think this debut film of is on target for the company's filmmaking goals?
Broken Bulb. I mean, we got the name because during one of our short films, like so. Just so you know, I didn't go to film school or anything. I don't even know how to turn on a camera. So, when I'm making these short films, it was very much just like guessing and doing all that stuff. But the main thing that I always want to do, like back to what I said earlier, is it can never be boring, right? It always has to be entertaining. There's so many movies out there that it's easy to become predictable, right? Like if you're dealing with a certain genre, like a romantic comedy, there's so many tropes and things that can make the movie predictable, right? That's everything that I want to avoid, right? I guarantee people watch this movie and they're like, "Oh, this is about to happen," and probably the opposite of what you're thinking happens. So, broken bulb, an idea is a light bulb, right? So broken ideas, things that you think that would never work, right, or wouldn't fit in because other genres haven't done it. That's what we want to do. So, it takes us back to when we were making that short film and we're setting up lights in these weird ways and whatever, using different lights, and we kept breaking these light bulbs. Like I swear, and then the person that gave us the light bulbs, like, there's mercury in here. You have to evacuate the premises. So, like, I knew right then and there. I was like, the company should be called Broken Bulb Productions, and with this, romantic comedy, I guess you could call it, it's different than other romantic comedies. There's not another one exactly like it. We're always going to do it in a different way. I love genre movies, but I'm just not going to be predictable. It's always going to be a little broken, a little different than what you probably think it should be.
Since you didn't go to film school or anything, what was your first interaction with film or filmmaking that you believe was the first step that eventually led you to do this career?
Is when I was 5 or so, right? I watched Malcolm in the Middle, and I really liked Frankie Muniz, right? And I wanted to be an actor. So my mom, she signed me up for like the agency stuff like that, And like I'm biracial, so I can fit for a lot of different things. So we got a lot of calls, right? And my mom was like, "Oh yeah, this place wants to, you just have to come in and read these lines." And I said, "Read lines? Like you're telling me I'm not just gonna make it up when I go, I have no interest in that." So right then and there, I never once thought about doing anything movie, TV related. And then when I was a junior in high school, Django came out on Christmas Day, right? I had no idea movies could be made like this. And then a year later, Wolf of Wall Street came out, right? So I'm a senior in high school, and I'm just like wowed by this. And at the time, I was 100% committed to becoming a professional basketball player. And then just this one night, I couldn't sleep, and I had to write down this script, like some script I'll never do again. It's like a children's movie, idea for a children's movie. And then I didn't know film school existed or anything. I just always figured you got to know somebody, you got to be the child, the cousin, whatever, of somebody that's already in Hollywood. So then I started doing research, and I just found out like film school probably isn't for me. So, I think it took me moving away from everything that I knew, right, to like guide me on this path that I was meant to make movies. Then from there on out, downloaded a script software, and now I'm here.
Final question. It's pitch time. What's your best pitch to convince someone to not go out to the bars and parties and come to the charity screening of That Night on April 30th?
They're going to have a chance to see, what I believe, the start of what Chicago filmmaking is going to be. In 30 years from now, they'll be able to say, I saw Zachary Trussell Broken Bulb Productions movie 30 years ago, the first one no one knew about him. People still misspelling my name, stuff like that. And also, there's free food. I think usually free food does it for people, because guess what? The bars are going to be open afterwards, and I'll probably be there with them. So the bars aren't going anywhere.
This is Patrick McDonald for HollywoodChicago.com. Copyright 2022.